Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're strapping in for a wild ride through the cosmos of the mind psychological testing and assessment. We're going deep into the history, the controversies, the ethics, the whole shebang. Get ready to explore the fascinating evolution of how we've tried to understand this thing we call the human psyche. We'll uncover the cultural clashes, the legal landmines, and even meet some of the field's most intriguing figures. You won't want to miss this. You know, it's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. Our ancestors, way back when, they were already trying to figure out what made people tick. We're talking ancient civilizations here. The Chinese had their civil service exams over 2,000 years ago. Ancient Greece, the birthplace of philosophy, saw folks like Plato and Hippocrates pondering personality and temperament. Fast forward to the 19th century and things really started heating up. Science was making huge leaps, and naturally, folks wanted to apply that rigor to understanding the mind. Francis Galton, Charles Darwin's cousin, he was all about individual differences. He's credited with pioneering some early statistical methods, laying the foundation for what we now call psychometrics. Then we've got Wilhelm Wundt, often called the father of experimental psychology. He established the first psych lab in Germany back in 1879. Talk about a game changer. But it was the 20th century that really saw psychological testing take off like a rocket. The world wars, as devastating as they were, actually spurred a lot of development in this arena. The military needed ways to assess recruits, to figure out who was best suited for what role. Enter the Army Alpha and Beta tests. These were the first large-scale intelligence tests used in the United States. And speaking of intelligence, we can't talk about the 20th century without mentioning Alfred Binet and the IQ test. Binet, a French psychologist, developed a test to identify children who needed extra help in school. It's crazy how this seemingly simple idea revolutionized education and sparked endless debates about intelligence, its measurement, and the very nature versus nurture debate. As psychological testing gained traction, new theories emerged, shaping the way we view personality and behavior. We've got Sigmund Freud and his psychoanalysis diving deep into the unconscious mind. Then there's Carl Jung and his concept of archetypes, influencing everything from literature to therapy. And let's not forget about behaviorism, with folks like B.F. Skinner focusing on observable behavior and learning. The evolution of psychological testing is a testament to our endless fascination with understanding ourselves. Now, let's talk about culture, because let's face it, it's a huge factor in how we see the world, how we interact with each other, and how we understand ourselves. And you can bet that it plays a big role in psychological testing. Think about it, a test developed in one culture might not translate well to another. It's like trying to measure the vastness of space using only a ruler. Imagine this. You're taking a personality test, and one of the questions asks about your comfort level with expressing emotions openly. Now, if you come from a culture where emotional expression is encouraged and celebrated, you might answer very differently than someone from a culture where emotional restraint is valued. See, the problem isn't the test itself, it's the cultural lens through which the test is being interpreted. If we're not careful, cultural biases can creep into our assessments, leading to inaccurate or even unfair conclusions. It's like assuming that all stars are the same just because they twinkle in the night sky. We need to remember that individuals are just that, individuals. They come from diverse backgrounds, hold unique perspectives, and have their own stories to tell. One way to mitigate cultural bias is to develop tests that are culturally sensitive and relevant. This means taking into account the cultural norms, values, and beliefs of the population being assessed. Another crucial factor is ensuring that test administrators are culturally competent. This means having the knowledge, skills, and awareness to interact effectively with individuals from diverse backgrounds. The interplay between culture and assessment is complex and multifaceted. But by being mindful of these issues, by striving for cultural sensitivity and competence, we can move towards a more equitable and just system of psychological testing. Chapter 3. The Ethics of Evaluation: Navigating the Legal and Moral Landscape. Okay, let's dive into the world of legal and ethical considerations in psychological testing, because just like launching a rocket into space, there are rules we need to follow, boundaries we need to respect, and responsibilities we need to uphold. First and foremost, we have a moral obligation to protect the individuals who participate in these assessments. That means ensuring their privacy, confidentiality, and informed consent. These are non-negotiables, folks. We can't be treating people like lab rats, poking and prodding without their full understanding and agreement. Then there's the issue of fairness and accessibility. Psychological tests should be designed and administered in a way that's fair to everyone, regardless of their background, beliefs, or abilities. We can't have assessments that are biased against certain groups or that create barriers for people with disabilities. And let's not forget about the power dynamics at play. The results of psychological tests can have a real impact on people's lives, their education, their careers, even their personal relationships. So it's crucial that these assessments are used responsibly, ethically, and with careful consideration for their potential consequences. We've got laws like the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, or HIPAA-A, that sets standards for protecting sensitive patient information. And then there are ethical codes like the ones developed by the American Psychological Association that guide psychologists on everything from competence to confidentiality. But here's the thing, rules and regulations are just the starting point. It's up to us, the scientists, the practitioners, the test developers, to go beyond the letter of the law and really embody the spirit of ethical practice. We need to be constantly questioning, reflecting, and striving to do better. Chapter 4. The Enigma of Goddard. A legacy of innovation and controversy. All right, folks, buckle up, because we're about to delve into the fascinating and controversial career of Henry Herbert Goddard, a figure whose contributions to the field of psychological testing are as significant as they are controversial. Goddard was a pioneer in intelligence testing in the United States. He's best known for bringing the Binet intelligence test, which we talked about earlier, from France to America. He translated it, adapted it, and it became widely used in schools, clinics, and even immigration centers. Now, Goddard was driven by a genuine desire to identify individuals with intellectual disabilities so they could receive appropriate support and education. He believed that early intervention was key, and that with the right help, people could reach their full potential. Noble goals, right? But here's where things get complicated. Goddard was also a proponent of eugenics, that deeply flawed and harmful movement that believed intelligence was primarily inherited and that society should discourage reproduction among those deemed feeble-minded. It was a dark chapter in history, and Goddard's role in it is still debated today. Goddard's research at Ellis Island, the main entry point for immigrants at the time, is particularly controversial. He used his adapted version of the Binet test to assess immigrants, many of whom didn't speak English or understand American culture. And not surprisingly, many scored low. Goddard's findings were used to justify restrictive immigration policies, contributing to the belief that certain groups were intellectually inferior and a threat to the nation's gene pool. It was a dangerous and damaging use of science, with devastating consequences for countless individuals and families. But here's the thing about Goddard. He eventually recognized the flaws in his earlier work. He acknowledged the cultural biases inherent in the tests he used, and the dangers of applying them to populations for whom they were not designed. Well, there you have it. a glimpse into the ever-evolving world of psychological testing and assessment. We've journeyed through history, grappled with cultural complexities, navigated ethical minefields, and confronted the controversial legacy of Henry Herbert Goddard. Remember, understanding the human mind is an ongoing quest. It's about more than just scores and statistics. It's about empathy, critical thinking, and a commitment to using our knowledge for the betterment of humanity. Introducing Dr. Agarwal, a life dedicated to understanding the mind. Dr. Neil Krishan. Agarwal is a renowned name in the world of psychometrics. He has dedicated his life to understanding the human mind. His journey began with a fascination for how we think, feel, and behave. This fascination led him to the field of psychometrics. Psychometrics is the science of measuring mental capabilities and processes. Dr. Agarwal saw the potential of psychometrics to help individuals and organizations. He understood that by measuring these aspects, we can gain valuable insights into ourselves and others. Dr. Agarwal's work is driven by a deep desire to make a difference. He believes in empowering individuals with self-knowledge. He also sees the value of psychometrics in making informed decisions. His vision is a world where psychometrics is accessible to all. Through everyday psychometrics, Dr. Agarwal aims to demystify this complex field. He wants to make these tools and techniques readily available for everyone's benefit. His work is a testament to his commitment to improving lives through a deeper understanding of the mind. Psychometrics in our everyday lives, more than just tests. We often encounter psychometrics in our daily lives without even realizing it. From personality quizzes on social media to aptitude tests for job applications, psychometrics plays a subtle yet significant role. These assessments help us understand our strengths, weaknesses, and preferences. Think about career choices, for example. Psychometric assessments can reveal whether someone is naturally inclined towards creative fields or analytical roles. This knowledge can be invaluable in making informed decisions about education and career paths. Similarly, in relationships, understanding personality types can foster better communication and empathy. Imagine a scenario where partners take a personality test. The results might highlight their differences and similarities, leading to more effective communication strategies. Psychometrics is not just about labeling or categorizing individuals, it's about providing insights. These insights can empower us to make better decisions, navigate challenges effectively, and ultimately lead more fulfilling lives. Life or death decisions when psychometrics makes the difference. In certain situations, psychometric assessments can have life-altering implications. Consider the field of aviation, where pilots undergo rigorous psychological evaluations. These assessments are designed to evaluate cognitive abilities, stress management skills, and decision-making under pressure. These evaluations are critical for ensuring the safety of passengers and crew. Imagine a scenario where a pilot experiences a sudden emergency during a flight. Their ability to remain calm, assess the situation accurately, and make split-second decisions can determine the outcome of the situation. Another example is in high-stress professions, like law enforcement or emergency medical services. Individuals in these roles face intense situations that require exceptional emotional regulation and resilience. Psychometric assessments can help identify individuals best suited for these demanding roles. These life or death scenarios highlight the crucial role of psychometrics in ensuring public safety and well-being. By identifying individuals with the necessary psychological traits, we can mitigate risks and create a safer environment for everyone. Knowing yourself. The power of self-assessment. Self-assessment is a powerful tool for personal growth and development. It involves critically examining our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors to gain a deeper understanding of ourselves. This introspective process can be both enlightening and empowering. Think of self-assessment as looking into a mirror. It allows us to see our strengths and weaknesses objectively. This honest self-reflection can be the first step towards making positive changes in our lives. There are various tools and techniques available for self-assessment. Personality tests, journaling prompts, and mindfulness exercises can all provide valuable insights. By engaging in these practices regularly, we cultivate a greater sense of self-awareness. This self-awareness can translate into improved relationships, enhanced emotional regulation, and increased self-esteem. When we understand ourselves better, we are better equipped to navigate the complexities of life and achieve